Hey friends, welcome back to Interesting Chinese Culture. Black and white, fluffy fur, and a vegetarian. Almost everyone would immediately think of the panda. As China's national treasure level animal, it is not an exaggeration to say that in any country, if a zoo has a panda, it can almost guarantee a steady flow of ticket sales. In this generation, when almost everyone sees the world through a phone screen, watching a panda up close is still incredibly popular. I believe no zoo would ever refuse the chance to have such a fluffy, black and white, heart-melting vegetarian. Of course, except for Memphis Zoo in Tennessee, United States. How did a black and white bear living in the mountain forests of Western China gradually become one of the most familiar symbols of China in the world? Today, we are going to talk about the panda. Let's step into the legendary world of pandas and follow this magical creature that, with nothing more than its black and white fur, stirred up a storm across history, science, and culture for thousands of years. Many foreign friends first came to know the panda through zoos, through panda live streams on social media, or through videos from the Chengdu Panda Base, where pandas roll around, eat bamboo, and cling to the legs of their keepers. They look round and chubby, move slowly, and their dark eye patches look like natural facial expressions. When they sit there eating bamboo, it almost feels as if they were born knowing how to make the whole world lower its guard. But the history of the panda goes far beyond the word cute. Behind it is the natural history of the mountain regions of Western China, the way ancient Chinese people understood animals, the mountain cultures around Bashu and the regions north and south of the Qinling Mountains, the arrival of Western natural history in modern China, and the very special international diplomacy and modern ecological protection that developed in the 20th century. According to existing fossil research, the ancestors of the panda can be traced back to about 8 million years ago, in the late Miocene period. An animal called Ailurochtos slowly evolved in the warm, humid forests of places such as Lufeng in Yunnan. It was not the fluffy black and white ball we see today, but a meat-eating animal about the size of a plump fox. After that, it went through a long road of evolution, from the small-sized panda to the Wulingshan panda to the Bokoni panda, and finally to the modern panda we see today. What is even more remarkable is that the fossil of a false thumb found by scientists in Shutangba in 2015 proved that as early as 6 million years ago, they had already begun eating bamboo. This black and white living fossil spent millions of years alone in the vast primeval forests, long before humans were there to accompany them. They are, in the truest sense, the original residents of this land. As human society continued to expand, many animals began to lose their original homes because of the growing territory of human life. Most of the time, human beings forget that we share all the resources on this planet with every other animal. It is also worth mentioning that Sichuan province has the largest and most complete panda habitat in the world, and nearly 3/4 of China's wild pandas live and reproduce on this land. When human civilization first began to emerge on this land, how did our ancestors see this huge black and white creature? Did they see it as a terrifying beast or as a gentle spiritual animal? From the ancient Chinese texts that have been passed down to us, we can see one strikingly contrasting image after another. As early as in records of the Grand Historian, written by Sima Qian, which covers the historical period between the Qin and Han dynasties, the panda appeared with an extremely fierce image. As far back as 4,000 years ago, when the tribal leader Huangdi was said to have trained an army of fierce beasts, these beasts included the panda. Among the people, the panda was also given a very powerful title, the iron-eating beast. Many ancient local records clearly recorded this name for the panda. In ancient people's eyes, the panda had an extremely powerful bite force, and the structure of its molars gave it a pressure almost like a hydraulic machine. In scientific terms, this was mainly because when they were extremely hungry in the wild, they might chew on iron pots or other cooking tools to lick the remaining salt. But in the eyes of ancient people, this made it a fierce and strange beast that could swallow copper and iron.
If the place of origin of any other animal might still leave room for debate, then the panda is one species whose origin is not in question. From beginning to end, the panda comes from China. As early as the Shang and Zhou dynasties in the Central Plains, roughly from 1600 BC to 256 BC, forest coverage was much wider, and large mammals were distributed farther north than in later periods. Archaeological excavations have found traces of large bear bones appearing together with ritual objects in sacrificial pits at the Yin ruins in Anyang, Henan, and at the Zhouyan site in Shanxi. At that time, the Central Plains regimes understood large animals through both practical and symbolic dimensions. Large beasts were seen as symbols of strength and authority, and they were often used in military totems, royal ceremonial displays, or sacrificial activities. There is a famous ancient Chinese book about spirits and strange creatures called The Classic of Mountains and Seas. In it, there is an animal called Pixiu. Later scholars, through textual research, found that the early Pixiu in ancient texts was not completely the same as the later mythical wealth-bringing beast. Instead, it referred to a real animal with a large body, black and white fur, a fierce nature, and strong climbing ability. Its bone structure was suited for moving through mountain environments, and the strength of its claws was enough to tear through wooden or bamboo structures. In the military organization of the Shang and Zhou periods, flags marked with this animal were often used as symbols of vanguard troops, representing breakthrough and intimidation. Its black and white fur created a strong visual contrast against the dense forest background, and that contrast could easily create psychological pressure in battle, so it was given a sense of deterrence. The beast face patterns on early bronze vessels, with their symmetrical structure, prominent eyes, and fang-like features, were records of this kind of animal. Does this sound familiar? From the perspective of natural history, the panda is a very ancient animal. It can even be called a living fossil, because this branch of animals has existed on Earth for an extremely long time. Paleontological research suggests that the ancestors of pandas once had a much wider range than they do today. In ancient times, their related populations did not live only in the areas we now know as Sichuan, Shanxi, and Gansu. They also appeared across a much broader area of southern China and parts of Southeast Asia. Later, as the climate changed, forest environments shifted, and human activity continued to expand, the panda's habitat gradually shrank. In the end, pandas mainly retreated into the relatively isolated mountain forests of western China. In ancient China, the panda did not appear from the very beginning under the name panda. Before modern animal taxonomy existed, ancient people recorded animals in a very different way from how we do today. Today, we would say, the panda belongs to the bear family, the genus Ailuropoda, and its scientific name is Ailuropoda melanoleuca. But ancient Chinese people mainly understood animals by looking at their appearance, color, sounds, living environment, behavior, and folk legends. An animal might be placed within the idea of bear simply because it looked like a bear. If its fur color was unusual, it might be called a white beast. If it lived deep in the mountains, it might be given a mysterious quality. If it was rare, it might be explained as an auspicious creature. This was how people at that time tended to classify and understand things. So names such as Zuyu, white bear, and iron-eating beast, which appear in ancient texts, are often connected by later generations to the panda. However, animal names in ancient writings are complicated. Sometimes they refer to real animals. Sometimes they refer to strange creatures shaped by rumor and imagination. Sometimes they carry meanings from ritual systems and mythology. And sometimes they are the result of several animal images being mixed together. We can say that certain ancient descriptions of animals may be related to the panda, and we can also say that later scholars once interpreted some animal images in ancient texts as pandas. But we cannot directly treat every ancient name as the same thing as the panda in modern biology. When history entered the spring and autumn and warring states periods, the forest environment of the Central Plains began to shrink because of agricultural expansion and the destruction caused by war. The range of large wild animals gradually moved south and west. The character Mo, mentioned in the Book of Songs, was clearly explained by Han Dynasty classical scholars as an animal with black and white fur that lived in the mountains of the southwest. In ancient Chinese, the original meaning of Mo was related to white, which reflects the most direct feature people noticed about this animal at the time. In Chu texts from the Warring States period, Mo was described as a creature that ate copper and iron. This did not mean it could literally digest metal. Instead, it came from a kind of folk observation. In mountain regions, salt mines and iron mines often existed near bamboo forests. When animals searched for minerals, they might use their teeth to gnaw on rocks containing salt or minerals, or on discarded iron tools. Over time, this created the legend of eating iron. As this story was passed from mouth to mouth, it became exaggerated, and eventually developed into the folk name iron-eating beast. The image of the iron-eating beast became more fixed during the Han Dynasty. In Han Dynasty tombs, stone reliefs and pottery figurines often show an animal with a squatting posture, strong front limbs, and clearly divided fur colors. These images often appear among tomb guardian beasts or ceremonial processions, which shows that in the burial culture of the time, this animal carried the function of driving away evil and offering protection. During the Han Dynasty, people's classification of animals began to become more systematic. At the same time, Han routes of external contact began to extend toward the southwest. The exchange of goods between Shu and Dayan became frequent,
and mountain products such as bamboo, medicinal herbs, and animal skins entered the markets of the Central Plains. As a result, more ecological information about pandas also became known. During the Wei, Jin, Northern and Southern dynasties period, northern China was caught in long-term warfare and large-scale migration. Many people moved south, and the development of the Yangtze River region and the southwestern mountains accelerated. During this period, written records began to include more specific descriptions of animals from the southwestern mountains. Names such as white bear, flower bear, and black and white beast, which appeared in local gazetteers and travel writings, were actually different names for the same species. These differences in naming came from different ways of observing the animal and from regional languages. Vocabulary from the Central Plains, brought by northern migrants, blended with local languages in the south, forming a layered system of names. During this period, the image of the panda gradually shifted from a military and ritual symbol to a symbol of mountain forests and reclusive life. In fact, black and white coloring has many representative examples in Chinese history. For example, the Taiji and Bagua are black and white, the ghost officers who summon souls in the underworld are black and white, and the game pieces in Go are also black and white. All of this is connected to history and culture. Taoist thought spread widely during times of chaos, and mountain forests were seen as places far from the noise of the human world, places for self-cultivation and spiritual practice. The panda's black and white fur was given a philosophical meaning of harmony between yin and yang. This interpretation did not come from a deliberate construction in official texts, but from folk culture's natural association with what people saw in nature. In Taoist writings, the phrase black and white beast was often used as a metaphor for the blending of yin and yang in inner alchemy. From this perspective, the panda's coloring in the minds of ancient people could almost be seen as the mark of a divine beast. For this reason, black and white bear-like animals were regarded as guardians of the mountain forests. When history reached the Tang dynasty, the unity and prosperity of the Tang Empire created a stable environment for cultural exchange across different regions. In the royal gardens of Chang'an, rare animals from the southwest and Lingnan began to appear. Many articles about panda diplomacy say that around the year 685, Wu Zetian once gave 2 white bears to the Japanese emperor, and this event is often seen as the beginning of panda diplomacy. Court records from the Tang dynasty show that local officials regularly sent mountain products as tribute to the central government, including black and white bear-like animals, either alive or in the form of specimens. Animal management in the Tang dynasty had already formed a relatively complete system. The court of imperial stables and the palace administration were responsible for raising and displaying rare birds and unusual beasts. These animals were mainly used for diplomatic gifts, royal viewing, and ceremonial display. The diplomatic network of the Tang dynasty covered Central Asia, South Asia, and East Asia. Rare animals as carriers of soft power were often used in systems of investiture, marriage alliances, and tribute. Against this background, the image of the panda began to shift from a mysterious mountain forest symbol to a symbol of imperial order. Its black and white coloring was interpreted by scholars as the coexistence of light and darkness, and as a balance between strength and softness. This interpretation fit very well with the aesthetic taste of the Tang dynasty. In Tang dynasty arts and crafts, contrasting colors and symmetrical designs were widely used, so an animal image with clear black and white coloring naturally drew attention. Tang dynasty geographical records gave detailed descriptions of mountain and forest products, and they mentioned names such as black and white bear and bamboo-eating beast many times. So at that time, the panda was also recorded by some knowledgeable scholars. By the Song dynasty, artistic and academic trends began to turn toward textual research and factual observation, and the compilation of local gazetteers became more systematic. Song dynasty scholars began to notice that names such as Pixiu, Mo, and iron-eating beast actually pointed to the same species, and they tried to classify them together based on form, habits, and distribution. Court painters in the Song dynasty became more accurate in their depictions of animals.
In some Song dynasty animal paintings that have survived to this day, the bone proportions, direction of the fur, and body posture are already very close to the form of the modern panda. Song dynasty texts began to include records about pandas, and some local governments in the Song dynasty had even started to intervene in excessive hunting. Some prefectures and counties issued bans that limited the hunting of large animals during certain seasons. By the Ming dynasty, scholars had already clearly distinguished the differences in the body shapes of different kinds of bears, and they pointed out that this animal ate bamboo, had a gentle nature, and did not actively attack humans. This shift in understanding marked the complete change of the panda's image from a fierce beast to an auspicious animal. In Ming dynasty folk beliefs, black and white animals were often given lucky meanings. In some local temples, the images of mountain gods gradually absorbed visual features of the panda. In the Middle and Late Ming Dynasty, European missionaries began to enter China. Through letters and travel writings, they introduced China's natural and cultural landscapes to the West. In these early records, the panda was described as a strange bear-like animal with black and white fur, a gentle nature, and a bamboo-based diet. Ming Dynasty texts also included observations of panda reproduction, saying that they mated in spring, gave birth in autumn, and that the cubs depended on the mother for care. As history continued to develop, the academic system of the Qing dynasty became even larger, and textual research reached a high point. Qing dynasty scholars compared records from different dynasties and confirmed the historical evolution of names such as Pixiu, Mo, iron-eating beast, white bear, and flower bear. The Qing dynasty also gave a more precise definition of the panda's distribution range, clearly pointing out that it mainly lived in the high mountain bamboo forests where Sichuan, Shanxi, and Gansu meet. Qing dynasty officials and scholars began to realize the existence of pandas and called for the protection of biodiversity. The Great Qing Code clearly stated that hunting large animals was forbidden in certain areas and during certain seasons, and those who broke the rule would be punished with flogging or fines. In the ethnic minority regions of the southwest during the Qing dynasty, the Qiang people's system of sacred mountains, the Yi people's forest bans, and the Tibetan tradition of releasing living creatures all limited human disturbance of panda habitats to different degrees. Qiang villages usually marked out buffer zones around sacred mountains and forbade logging and grazing there, because these places were believed to be the homes of mountain gods and could not be violated. So, how did the panda enter the world stage? Although pandas had already lived in China for millions of years, the Western world and the scientific community have known about the existence of this species for less than 200 years. The discovery that excited all of humanity happened in 1869. That year, a French missionary and naturalist named Armand David crossed mountains and ridges and arrived at a place called Dengqigu in Baoxing County, Ya'an, Sichuan Province. David was passionate about collecting animal and plant specimens, and he served as a priest at a local church. One day, in a local household, he saw an extremely special piece of black and white fur. Hunters told him that it came from a rare animal called the black and white bear. David immediately realized that this might be a new species that had never been scientifically described or named before. With the help of local people, he soon found a living black and white bear. In his diary, David excitedly recorded the animal's beautiful black and white fur and its round, cat-like face. Although he was determined to bring this living black and white bear back to France, it sadly died during transportation. With great regret, David had no choice but to turn it into a specimen and send it back to the Paris Natural History Museum. When the specimen was displayed, the entire European zoological world was shaken. After it was identified by Milne Edwards, the museum director at the time, this completely new species was considered not to belong to bears, but to be a kind of large cat bear that was quite similar to the red panda. And so, the scientific name cat bear was officially born. Yes, its earliest name was cat bear. So why did the name later become panda? From the perspective of animal classification, it is a bear, not a cat. The early name cat bear can be understood as a bear that looks like a cat, or as a name connected to the translation of Ailuropoda. Later, the name panda became widely popular. One common explanation is that this was related to the change in Chinese writing direction in the 20th century. In the late 1930s, a zoo in Chongqing held an animal specimen exhibition. In order to protect this extremely rare cat bear, the exhibition sign used an international left-to-right writing format. But at that time, ordinary people were still used to the traditional right-to-left reading habit. When people looked at the two Chinese characters for cat bear, they naturally read them in reverse as bear cat or panda. This cute mistake has been passed down to this day. After China entered the Republican period, more and more Western zoos wanted to obtain living pandas. In 1936, the American explorer Ruth Harkness took a living panda out of China for the first time and sent it to the Chicago Zoo in the United States. This was the first time the Western world had seen a living panda. The panda immediately became a household name animal in the West. From that time on, the panda became the most recognized Chinese animal in the world, without question. In the middle of the 20th century, China established a group of nature reserves, and panda habitats began to receive systematic protection. Reserves such as Wolong, Wanglong, and Tangjiahe in Sichuan were established one after another. This marked the shift of wildlife management from local intervention to national-level planning. In the 1980s, China began the second stage of panda diplomacy. Unlike the earlier stage of political gifts, panda exchanges during this period mainly focused on scientific cooperation, sharing breeding technology, and public education. Pandas were sent to zoos in many countries, but their ownership always remained with China.
This lone model not only protected the genetic diversity of the species, but also avoided commercial exploitation. Speaking of this, I have to go a little off topic. I believe many of you have rented a car before. When you rent a car, everyone knows that even if there is just one tiny scratch on the rented car, you may be asked to pay an expensive repair fee. So why, when it comes to a living animal, do some people with bad intentions suddenly become so reckless? We all know that if someone is found abusing a pet, they may face the risk of going to prison, not to mention an ancient animal that already exists in such small numbers on Earth. Although this incident happened a long time ago, there is still controversy about this topic online. Many people use the panda's old age or other reasons as excuses, but if some friends have seen pandas in other countries' zoos or pandas raised in China, perhaps they should apologize to this poor little life for those foolish excuses. Okay, we have gone a little too far. Let's return to today's episode. In 1957, China gave its first pair of pandas to the Soviet Union. After Nixon's visit to China in 1972, China gave another pair of pandas, Xingxing and Lingling, to the United States. On the first day the National Zoo opened its panda exhibit, more than 20,000 people lined up to see them, and the entire United States was swept up in panda fever. From that moment on, the panda officially became China's national calling card, what we often call a national treasure. From the 1950s to the 1980s, China gave a total of 23 pandas to 9 countries. For Chinese people, pandas are a symbol of peace and friendship. Beginning in the 1980s, China stopped giving pandas away. Instead, it began scientific cooperation with other countries, which means lending pandas to foreign zoos. The loan period is usually 10 to 15 years, and the fees are used to support panda conservation and research. Up to now, China has carried out panda cooperation research with 22 zoos in 17 countries. As of 2022, a total of 64 pandas were living overseas. Many zoos have also opened special panda livestream channels, allowing panda lovers around the world to watch pandas at any time. For example, Yangguang and Tian at Edinburgh Zoo in the United Kingdom, and Huan and Yuanzai at Zoo Parc de Beauval in France. In southwest China, local people in panda habitats such as Sichuan, Shanxi, and Gansu have long had customs and legends related to pandas. In Ya'an, Sichuan, the place where the panda was discovered by modern science, there have long been local legends about pandas. People called pandas the dogs of the mountain god. They believed pandas lived deep in the mountains and were sent by the mountain god to guard the forests. Because of this, local people generally would not casually harm pandas. They believed that harming a panda would anger the mountain god and bring disaster. In the Wolong area of Sichuan, there is also a legend that pandas were originally completely white, with no black fur at all. Later, a hunter saved an injured panda cub. After the hunter died, the pandas gathered around his body and cried. They rubbed their tears onto their faces and wrapped their arms with the black mourning cloth. That is why their faces and limbs turned black. From this legend, we can also see that local people have always regarded pandas as spiritual animals and have treated them with deep respect. In the Qinling Mountains of Shanxi, local people also have many sayings about pandas. Qinling pandas have rounder skulls than Sichuan pandas, and the black marks on their chests are shorter. Many local people call them flower bears, and say that flower bears are the pets of the mountain god. In the Beishuijiang Nature Reserve in Gansu, local villagers have known for generations that pandas are spiritual creatures from the deep mountains. Sometimes, when pandas come down from the mountains and eat corn from farmers' fields, the farmers do not drive them away.
They simply wait for the pandas to finish eating and return to the mountains on their own. This tradition of living peacefully with pandas has already lasted for hundreds of years. Besides folk legends, panda culture in modern China has become richer and richer, and the most obvious example is mascot culture. Starting with the panda pan image from the 1990 Beijing Asian Games, almost every major international event held in China has used pandas as mascots. At the 1990 Beijing Asian Games, Pan was a panda holding a gold medal. At the 2008 Beijing Olympics, Jingjing, one of the Fuwa mascots, was based on the panda. At the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, Bing Duan combined the panda image with a transparent shell inspired by ice and snow sports. This is the global influence of panda culture, and no other animal can replace it. Now, let's return to the original question. How did one animal complete such a transformation of identity over 2,000 years? In the specific details of history, it was used as a banner by the armies of the Shang and Zhou dynasties. It served as a guardian in Han Dynasty tombs. It became a point of reference for scholars and writers in the Tang and Song dynasties.
and in the local gazetteers of the Ming and Qing dynasties, it became a record of early ecological protection awareness. For foreign listeners, understanding the panda does not require crossing a huge cultural gap. We only need to return to historical facts and scientific data. When we connect these facts together, the panda is no longer a simplified symbol. It becomes a mirror, reflecting how human beings learned to live with nature over the long course of history, how they remained open within the limits of their knowledge, and how they gathered wisdom from historical experience. From the first contact between humans and pandas in the Neolithic period 6,000 years ago, to its role as a royal tribute in the Shang and Zhou dynasties, to its journey beyond China as a diplomatic gift in the Tang dynasty, to its modern discovery by the Western scientific world and the sensation it caused, to its status as a national treasure and a messenger of peace and friendship after the founding of New China, and finally to its role today as a cultural symbol loved around the world, this process is, in fact, a complete history of cultural exchange, and also a history of environmental protection. The panda walked out of the deep mountains and entered the world. It did not bring conflict. It brought joy and friendship. It brought people around the world together because of the same adorable animal, allowing them to work together to protect biodiversity and share happiness. This is the greatest meaning of panda culture. Today, wild pandas still live freely in the deep mountains of Sichuan, Shanxi, and Gansu. Pandas living overseas continue to bring joy to people around the world. Panda culture is still developing, and new meanings are constantly being added to it. No matter how the times change, the ideas carried by the panda, peace, friendship, and harmony between human beings and nature, will never change. This is why the panda has become one of the most beloved animals in the world, and why it has become one of the brightest symbols of Chinese culture.
If you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to give the show a like, subscribe, and share it with someone you think would enjoy it too. Thank you for spending this time with me. I will see you in the next episode.